One of the things that I've been seeing over the past few days is a lot of people talking about how they're either moving to Blue Sky, the alternative to X, or they're seeing other people move to it, or they're seeing a lot of their followers leaving them and presumably moving over there, or that they're creating accounts over there whilst keeping their X account. And there's a lot of talk, not just on X, but also in the media, especially the left-wing media, which is usually against X, about how Blue Sky is gaining on users and X is losing users. And they sort of tie it into this narrative, this overall narrative of how X has been losing users and losing advertisers ever since Elon Musk took over. And I wanted to talk about this because we've heard this before. I remember when Threads became really big at one point. This is when he first took over Twitter at the time. A lot of people migrated to Threads, or Meta just released Threads at the time. And they got a whole ton of users with a lot of hype, and then it just died down. I think it's partly because they didn't do a good enough job executing. So Threads just doesn't have that same level of real-timeness that X does. And I think they didn't do a good enough job executing in a quick enough or a short enough amount of time in order to be able to build on the momentum that they initially had, which meant most people just stayed on X, and that meant most people either came back to X or made sure they kept their X accounts so that they could stay engaged with conversations. And I think the same thing's going to happen with Blue Sky. So Blue Sky has been around for a while, first of all, and indications are that it's a little bit better than Threads. But at the end of the day, it still has censorship. There's still moderation. And some of the things that people find that they can say on X aren't allowed to be said on Blue Sky. And this makes sense in a way, because if you're going to have a platform that's billing itself as a safe space and therefore more attractive to those advertisers who want that, then by definition, you're going to have censorship and moderation. So X is actually going to be more of a free speech platform than Blue Sky can ever be. And X has decided to go in that direction at the risk of not getting back those advertisers who left in the first place. So it's a risky strategy, but it's something that Elon and the other people at X, I guess, are banking will work out in the long run as they develop other revenue sources. And I think putting that aside, just thinking about the fact that X has to figure out how to become profitable and remain profitable means that it's got its mission cut out for it. And it's going to work really hard to innovate, to try and give users what they need to really become the content creation platform that he keeps talking about. So X is going to be delivering fast, it's going to be executing quickly, it's going to be rolling out new features, and we've seen that already with things like Grok, with things like video, encrypted DMs, we've got payments coming, we've got creator subscriptions. So these features don't really exist on the other platforms, and part of it is because they're not in survival mode in the way X is. And I think that's one of the big reasons why X is actually going to keep thriving as a platform. It's not just the fact that most people are still on X. It's the fact that it's constantly improving. It's constantly getting better. And it's also a case where X and I think Elon are willing to listen to feedback and reverse changes they've made. So I remember when they made a change so that if you linked to a news website, it would no longer show you the title of the article and the link. It would just show you a picture, which was the social graph picture from the website. And you had to click that to find out what it was. And it wasn't even obvious that it was a link. And a lot of people complained at the time. And then they reversed that. So now you do see the kind of the title. So it's more obvious that it's a link. So they listen to user feedback and they implement accordingly. And I think that in the long run, that strategy and that effort that they're having to put in is going to bear out. And meanwhile, it's more of a free speech platform than anywhere else, which means you can really speak your mind there. It's just a question of whether you can handle dissenting opinions or you can handle, people saying stupid things. And I think that comes down to having a bit of resilience and a bit of discipline. Of course, I still understand that some people just would rather not deal with that. They'd rather just go somewhere where they don't have to deal with it. But at the end of the day, I think we're all better off in having to learn how to deal with these things and building a platform that gives us the tools to filter out the sort of things we don't want, but without actually banning people and still keeping us in a space such that we can go and connect with whoever we want without restriction. I think there's much more value in that. And I think the network effects of a platform, such a platform, are going to play a huge role in keeping it dominant in the space of all these social media platforms.